Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to this edition of the Overwatch All-Star Brawl 2, presented by Star Esports. As always, we are a double elimination tournament dedicated to the Overwatch Tier 3 community. I am your host and play-by-play caster, Shy Guy, and I am back after dealing with some technical difficulties in our break. I no longer sound like I am casting through a can with a string attached to it, and I am once again joined by Got Moxie as we jump into some more action, this time between Class 6 and Torbulance.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. If the last match is anything to go by, we're definitely going to see something of a mixed bag of DPS picks.
For sure, and we finally threw off the string of 3 O's that we've been having in the first round of the last series, and I'm hoping we can continue that trend here with our final match of the first round. We will be figuring out who is going to be the last team joining that upper bracket and who is going to be the final team sent down below to try to fight their way through the lower bracket, and to give us a little bit of insight on what we can expect from the match here tonight. We're going to be joined by a member of Class 6 here for a little bit of a pre-match interview. Tank Engine, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi guys, I am head coach of Class 6 Overwatch, Tank Engine. Okay, my role on the team, consists of what a head coach is typically going to do. I run most operations along with strategy, macro, and micro.
Fantastic, and I want to start with your side of things of kind of what has your team been doing to get ready for this event and kind of in the run up to this tournament.
Yeah, for sure. So we've been focusing on perfecting our dive in this. We've been scrimming dive actually with Doomfist and Reaper for quite. And yeah, I've been having my off tank player practice a lot of Sigma. Okay, Orisa has been a real priority. And yeah, I think we're trying to get our comms up. I think in this meta, it's very important to have a Lucio that knows what they're doing, and we've definitely been working on that.
Fantastic to hear, and I cannot wait to see that preparation come to bear in this series. But you mentioned that you guys are running a lot of dive. Is it helpful as a coach to be able to lean back on past experience with dive to acclimate your players to the new meta?
Yeah, no, it's very important. I think that we haven't really seen a strong Doomfist meta in quite a while, and the Goats meta has kind of taken a lot of the, I guess, the experience back, sort of away from these players. They're having to relearn a lot of things, and it's been an equalizer. Players who might not have been good at a DPS hero back in the day now sort of have a chance to compete with the people who used to be like hard tricks of that hero. Right, and as a coach, my experience coaching through like the Sombra meta and stuff, and coaching through different meta shifts like involving Brig, has been sort of helpful here. I think it's very important to not sort of cling to your old ideas about the game, and really just open yourself up to whatever comes their way. I think a lot of people have this tendency when they see patch notes to go back to what they think they know about the game, to go back to what has been good in the past, when really I think the most effective strategy is to always keep your mind open, test things even if you think they might not be good or they're not traditional, right? If you see what we've seen the last few metas, heroes like Mei, heroes like Doom, heroes like Reaper, these are heroes that people mostly wrote off in the past and wrote off when they saw the patch notes. But as a team, we try not to do that. We try to always keep our mind open to things, always test out different comps, get player feedback, trust the people who play the game. That's really been our go-to for the last few months.
Well, that is fantastic to hear, and I want to ask you, before we let you go and get back to your team, get ready for the game here tonight, who are some of the players that we should really be keeping an eye out for to really light things up here tonight on the side of Class 6?
Yeah, so I definitely keep your eyes on PGE and keep your eyes on Avani. These are 2 players I've been heavily coaching for the new meta, and I think they're going to show you some real mechanical prowess that they've been working on the last.
Well, I for one cannot wait to see it. And Tank Engine, we want to thank you once again for giving us a little bit of your time before we get into this series. Good luck with everything here tonight, and I will let you get back to your job.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, well, it is the time is upon us.
The time is definitely upon us to go to Lijiang Tower. One of my favorite maps, Shy Guy. A lot of people who know me know that I'm a big fan of the Lijiang Tower because, you know, we see the pharmacy come out of Lijiang a lot.
No, that is definitely true. I mean, it's kind of one of those staples pretty much any Overwatch match tends to start with those control maps, and that means we see a lot of Lijiang Tower, and that is something I am always here for. I'm always ready for it. I love to see this map. It'll give us a very good idea of how these teams will approach this series, and I'm really excited to see what they are bringing to the table.
Well, from the sounds of it, Class6 have been working on this Orisa Sigma composition, which is dominating the meta. We're kind of moving away from the Halt Hook combination that you saw previously, the Orisa Hog matchup, as people find ways to just counteract it. You have the D.Va, you just eat the Halts, you have Mei, you wall them off, you prevent the hook from landing, and it's a lot harder to deal with this double back.
Yes, I mean, and that Sigma shield, another incredible counter to those hooks coming out from the Roadhog. So hard to connect when you've got all those barriers in the line of sight. So we're seeing more a turn towards heroes that can kind of ignore those barriers or push past them. We're seeing a lot of that Doomfist Reaper DPS combo. Doomfist obviously punching straight through the shields, Reaper putting a lot of pressure on the front line directly.
Yeah, DPS who are pretty mobile, who can slip through the cracks, who have a lot of self-sustain. Doomfist has got those shields that he gains every time he gets an ability off. Reaper has got that self-heal. So it can be quite hard to take some of those DPS down.
And, we are going to be having that exact duo coming out for both teams as, yes, almost exact mirror compositions coming out. Right now, the only difference is that off support. We've got Kabima's picking up the Batiste, Tony going to be playing the Moira for Torbulance.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to the Batiste. Batiste puts down a lot of healing, and don't forget you have that immortality field, which means that you survive the Sigma ult. If you look on the opposite end, Lure has to have that sound barrier up and ready for when Infernal ult.
That is definitely true, but the first clash going to be happening on the point. Torbulance just going straight there to try to take position. The Halt is going to keep PGE in a little bit of an awkward spot. Now going in for another punch. The Doomfist meet in the middle, and Isel going to be the one taken down first. Dazer doing the damage for the side of Class 6.
Yeah, we were told that PGE would be the one to keep an eye on, but it's Dazer who's picking up the picks at the moment. So much work on this Reaper, already 50% of the way to this ult, which allows Class 6 to hold aggressively at these doors and just control exactly how Turbulence try and enter this fight.
Yes, and now they are backing off a little bit. They know they don't have PGE with them as they try to hold out this choke, and the Coalescence out from Tony, giving Turbulence the power they need to push forward. They take down Dazer. Season's going to fall as well, and Class 6 may be pushing out a little too far there.
Yeah, but they're not actually putting ultimates into this, and so they're still going to have tools to try and take this point back. You see Muzza on the point just kind of give up, tries to get a little bit of stall out, but will go back Spawn to be with his team, so not much of a stagger. And now you're going to have the Sigma ultimate ready before Lure has hit Sound Barrier. If you move in quickly, you can capitalize.
Yes, but there's going to be that Gravitic Flux available as well for Sirius as they try to push in. So they've got to try to find an opening here. Both Doomfists get stunned up, land on the ground, and will fall. The Death Blossom in, trying to zone everyone away. And the Flux in now for the side of Class 6. Gonna take down Noro, and they are pushing in there. They're securing the kills. Just need to clean up on these last couple of members.
Yeah, it's been some pretty quick point flips. I say that there's a Doomfist currently out on the field. He's still trying to get something in the dregs of his teammates' ashes, but it will be Daisy who secures the kill. They are going to have Sound Barrier to let the tanks go aggressively. Noro is going to have the Supercharger, which is going to let all of these DPS manage to get the ultimates online.
Okay, Dazer coming in on the flank as they try to push in, can't quite find any kills, and Isel gonna be the one to chime in first, gets the punch in onto the Lucio, and now Turbulence trying to flip this back once again. The Orisa ultimate giving them the added punching power they need, and now they're just swarming the point.
Swarming the point, getting the kills. The Reaper secures one onto the Orisa. Lure still has the Sound Barrier. He hasn't had to invest it just yet, so his team do have that get out of jail free card.
And they're committing to this fight. They want to come back in. Does Class 6. The Days are finding the kill there, is giving them an opportunity, but Tony shuts it down with that Coalescence. They just need to clean up onto the Lucio now. They will do it, get the flip at 80%.
Oh, 80%'s nice though. If you're Class 6, then you have time. You can bide your time. You can do some eco pushes. You can get a couple of ultimates online. The one ultimate you're gonna want back is Infernal's Flux.
That's definitely the case as they try to push in here. They don't quite have the tools to do it just yet, so poking a little bit for the time being, looking for an opening. As the halt sets up the punch from PGE, he doesn't find any kills just yet, and Days are forced to Wraith walk out of there. PGA getting the kill they need. Tony goes down. The Meteor Strike as well is gonna do the damage, in Class 6 once again, just controlling this fight.
Really do. So the Doomfist PGE, both the Doomfists find a pick. You still manages to get the Lucio. PGE manages to get the main tank. If you can take a main tank out of the fight, that's effectively a team fight win. The main tanks, they're just anchor heads of these compositions. Once they go down, the rest of the team shortly follows.
Okay, and the Coalescence out from Tony, giving them a chance to push in here, but the bongos from Seasons enable that punch. PGE gets the first pick. The Doomfist is out of the fight for Torbulance as they try to turn this one around. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen. They lose Noro in this fight and are trying to make a desperate attempt. Snozzler does find one kill, but that is all they get out of this fight. And now it's just a wild attempt to try to keep this going.
Well, it won't be kept going for very much longer, and that will be Class 6, not quite dominantly, but assertively taking that first round.
Yes, just consistently a little bit better there than Torbulance. You know, they win the first fight, and that's kind of the difference maker a lot of times here on Control. You get that early advantage, and even, you know, at that point, if you can just trade kind of evenly in terms of percentage, you're going to come out on top. That's exactly what happens there for Class 6, and they get off on the right foot.
Well, if you have control of the point, you can draw out the team fights for as long as you can. You want to draw out the team fights for as long as you can, because the longer the team fight, the more tick percentage you get. It's always going to be advantage to you.
Okay, and now a really interesting look coming out from Class 6. This is a hero I haven't seen a lot of in a while, and I'm still not going to get it here. Kabimas baits me out with the brief Brigida pick. I wonder what the idea was, why that even came through for a second, just to make me look silly, I guess.
I'm guessing anti-dive. Break will always be a CC machine.
Yes, but it's not going to be the case here, as it is kind of just the dive almost coming out from Class 6. They charge in deep with the speed boost from Kabimas, but PGE sticking around for a bit too long there, gets caught out, but still going to be the first take for Class 6.
Yeah, and now we talked about it before, they have all of this advantage, and Turbulence, they have to commit to this next fight or just go back to the respawn. They can't afford to dwell.
And that's about the worst case scenario. They lose one pick there to the halt. Snozzler going down, and now they're slowly but surely getting cleaned up as they try to retreat. It's not gonna happen, and that is kind of an ideal first fight for Class.
Yeah, and it's the opposite of an ideal fight for Torbulance, because yes, they lose the fight, but then they should have pulled out and immediately retreated. But they stick around, and so a couple of them get staggers, and even now, they're still milling around the point, not really committing, not going in as a group.
Yeah, and the Farmers, he gets two out in the open there. Lure gonna go down to the Coalescence. Heads up play there from Moser is gonna find an opening, but he still wants to fight this back. Gets a double kill with the Barrage before going down. It's still an advantage for the defenders, but Turbulence have a shot here if they can find some quick picks.
They have to find them quickly though, because Kebimas is coming up to the soundbar. He's gonna have it online now. And who are they going to use to try and pressure this Lucio?
It doesn't look like it's going to happen. The flux in from Infernal is going to be enough to kind of close this one out. Probably wasn't even necessary in the end, but Class 6 hanging on. He's still trying his best, gets the knockoff, but it's just not enough.
Desfara is getting picks left, right, but sadly not center, not managing to get the whole team wipe that they apparently need to try and just tip this in their favor. Kibima's still sitting on this sign barrier. Dazer has got this Death Blossom. They're going to know exactly where Turbulence are committing to. They're going to opt for Bridge. Very risky, given that there's an Orisa and a Lucio.
Okay, and there's the Death Blossom coming up from Dazer, not finding anything, but the zoning is there for Class 6. They're not letting Torbulence across this bridge. They shut down that push. They throw in all of the ults, and they are going to get the win here on Lijiang Tower.
So they won the last map assertively. They won this one dominantly. Without a doubt, the better team at this current.
No, they look like they know exactly what they want to do in the current meta. They are playing the meta comp right now with this Reaper Doomfist combo, and PGE and Dazer just go wild there on the second point of Lijiang. They control that point so well and just completely shut out Torbulence.
Well, it's surprising that Turbulence was shut out so effectively because they were running the Pharah, and if you look at the position that was being run by Class 6, none of those are very obvious Pharah counters, so the Pharah should have had free reign.
Absolutely. I mean, that should have been a decent opportunity for Isel, but the rest of the team was just not able to sustain through these fights for long enough for that Pharah to really find value most of the time. It was over before he really had an opportunity to get into most of those fights. And that comes back to haunt Turbulence a little bit here on map 1. They put up a really good fight on Control Center. So, there are good signs there and things that they can, try to keep going through the rest of the series.
Yes, they need to do what they did the first map, and they need to look at Gardens as a do not do. They play too passively. They mill around, they let early picks be taken out of their composition, so then they have to retreat even further. And that's not something you want to be. You never in Overwatch want to be fighting 5 versus 6, because the more numbers a person has behind them, the more likely they're going to win.
Pretty simple math right there. It's not hard to realize that 6 is greater than 5. So that's something that Turbulence has to work on, is getting those clean entries so that they can take the fights that they want. They've got to avoid losing members, and that's a lot easier said than done in this current meta. You've got the Doomfist potentially waiting around any corner, just waiting to hit you with a one-shot kill, and it's hard to deny that a lot of the time, but they've got to find an answer.
I mean, a lot of supports at the moment are having these nightmares where they look behind them and they always think that there's going to be a Doomfist behind. Then you face forward, and then you face back again, and there he is. He's just waiting in the shadows. There's some really crazy spots that you see Reapers wait for the Blossom with. You see the Doomfist wait, not with an ult, but just with the good old-fashioned 1-2 punch. And it's scary. It really can be. And that means that what you have to do if you want to really protect your back line is have someone stay back with the supports. And if you have someone on the back line, it's taking away from your front line. You really do have to kind of do a weighing up your pros and cons list.
Yes, and so far it's been PGE kind of coming out on top when it comes to that Doomfist. We didn't even see it there from Torbulence towards the end of Lijiang Tower there on Gardens. They tried to match it on Control Centers, still not quite so successful in that regard. So PGE really being the monster that his coach said he would be so far in this series. And if his performance has impressed you so far and continues to do throughout the rest of the series, you can always scroll down right below the Twitch stream and you can find our MVP poll. You can vote for PGE or anyone in this series that you think is really impressing you. We'll of course have the results for that at the end of the series, but already some really phenomenal performances coming out from Class 6.
Well, the day's not done for Turbulence. They have to decide whether they're going to try and run this mirror, whether they're going to be able to field a Doomfist who can keep up with PGE, and if they fall short, then they have to be ready to admit that they fall short and swap to a counter.
That's definitely true. They'll have to make some adaptations as we go through the rest of this series. I'm interested to see what Torbulence can do to try to fight this one back. There were some signs of life there on the Lijiang Tower. We saw Control Center be their best performance so far. So maybe they look to take us to somewhere kind of close quarters. And in fact, that seems to be the case, as it's going to be Temple of Anubis for map 2.
well, you can still run the Pharah here. And I think that's what they're going to be trying to rely on. Esol was getting the picks in with the Pharah. If the rest of the team can capitalize on the Pharah picks, then you have a shot.
That's true. And perhaps if they are, a little bit more measured with their pace, they give Esol a little bit more time to find those picks, like you can on an attack on Anubis, then that could be a recipe for success as we move on to map 2. Torbulance trying to find a way to turn the tides back in their favor. They're looking to avoid this 2-0 deficit, and they are going to make their stand here on Temple of Anubis.
Well, PGE just teased an Ashe, and so Class 6, they know what Torbulance are trying to do, and they're saying, okay, we know the game that you guys are playing, and we're gonna roll the dice. We're gonna have our previous Doomfist on a Pharah counter, and so as soon as that Pharah shows her face, it's just gonna be bullets everywhere.
That's one way to deal with the Pharah, put a lot of pressure on her, and like you said, the Ashe, those hit scan threats kind of the first thing that you go to when you need to counter the Pharah. In the end, though, it is going to be Dazer actually picking that one up. For the side of Class 6, the Widowmaker going to be coming out. This is a classic pick here on Temple of Anubis.
It really is. And so is kind of the Junkrat. We saw it not quite this year, but so much more, I would say, 2 years ago, or at least 1 year ago. It used to be that there was a Junkrat on Anubis defense every single time I played it, or it was played in professional play. You would see the mines just being spammed down all of these choke damages, choke passages. You get that tire up so quickly. If you can have that tire get, say, a support or a tank out of a fight early, fight 1 off the back of 1 very quickly building ultimate.
That is definitely true, and this is, like you said, very reminiscent of defenses from the past. And Dazer starting things off with a bang, gets 2 kills on the 2 DPS. That is absolutely phenomenal.
I mean, I'm wondering why Snozzler wasn't stealthed.
That's a good question. I'm wondering why Esol showed his head so readily there. Perhaps didn't know the Widowmaker was on the field. Gonna be a little bit more careful this time. But look at where Dazer's positioned, just up on top of this archway. Absolutely fearless right now.
Yeah, they have to send the Lucio in to boop Dazer out. And now Dazer just gets to set up behind his team. So much free sightlines. Going into a Widowmaker who can hit the shots. The mind games start to play. You just lost 2 of your DPS straight out of the bat.
That is true, but Esol this time gets in cleanly and gets onto PGE. The shot's not quite landing for Dazer at this point, forced back into a corner, but it is just going to be Torbulance taking their entry, rotating up to the high ground.
Yeah, the Venom Miner actually comes out just a little bit too late, so Snozzler manages to get through that one. Still stealthed.
Okay, now the nano boost out from Tony is in onto Noro, buying them a lot of space on the point. They're able to mostly force back Class 6. The defender's very split right now with Dazer kind of fading back to that initial choke point, trying to stay alive. Finds some kills here as they desperately try to hold on to the point. It's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen, and so it will be Torbulance showing some signs of life. PGE does have this tire though, and if you get the Ana out early, you don't really care about the Lucio. Lucio can just wall ride his way back into a fight pretty quickly. If you can get, say, the Ana out of the fight, then that's huge. That's team fight 1. And Esol does have this blade. Tony is gonna be looking for this nano.
That's definitely true, and they've got to avoid the tire coming out from PG to start off this fight. It's gonna be the supercharger though from Seasons to open things up, and Torbulance wisely just kind of back off. They're willing to wait this out and be patient. They just get an ultimate out of the defense for free.
Yeah, Seasons actually pops that one just a little bit too early, doesn't wait for Torbulance to fully commit. Snozzler does have that EMP. Tony really quickly building up to this nano. It's gonna be the big free EMP Nano Blade, and I'm worried. If you look at Class 6, they have no defensive support ultimates, no Lucio, no Zenyatta, no Transcendence, no Sound Barrier.
Yes, but it's going to be the early nano out from the defense, and once again, they might have used that ult a little too early. Now the nano blade off the EMP, the tire is out as well, but can it get the kills? PGE finds two, takes Easel down, and that should be enough to stabilize.
It's most definitely one way of stabilizing, and if you look, Torbulance thought that was their time to shine. They invested the EMP, the nano, and the blade in. They are going to have Sign Barrier, but you're seeing a couple of swaps come in for them now, which resets the ultimate charge back to 0. They're going to go with this double shield, but if you're PGE, you're a Junkrat. You just spam damage and burn through all that shield.
He's actually gonna give up because, I mean, it's so hard to get through both of those shields. The shield break, not the way most teams opted to go. He's back on the Doomfist for this defense, but the Death Blossom from Dazer gonna do the damage here. He's continuing to wreak havoc in the backline. That time he drops in from the high ground and secures that fight with Class 6.
Well, PGE has this massive advantage over Easel because PGE is on the defending side. So he gets to pick before the attackers come in where he's going to be. He can go for the high ground, he can go for a little bit of the flank. Easel, he has to commit and hope that he manages to get where he wants to be alive, get in alive, and then get out still alive.
It's pretty tough to do. It's a tightrope you have to try to walk. And so far, not going so well for Torbulance as they try to push in here. And Easel taken down early in this fight. The supercharger out from Seasons gives Dazer enough damage to deal with him. And they will once again send Torbulance packing.
They managed to get the supercharger placement in just right that time. So it's quite nice here as it gets a lot of assists. PGE, I think, pops Meteor Strike trying to just get out of jail. Easel has actually gone on to Symmetra. So they're going to opt for the shield break approach to breaking this double shield defense. Whilst PGE, he's just going to bypass that entirely.
I mean, they've got to keep an eye out for this Doomfist. He's up on the high ground behind them, waiting for the chance to go in deep. He gets the punch off, doesn't hit anything, but that Gravitic Flux from Infernal does all the damage necessary. Gets 2 out of that. And still, though, Torbulance trying to fight this one back. Sirius with a double kill of his own. It's not enough, though.
Yep, they still apparently haven't figured out when enough is enough. Moz actually picks up the late kill onto Snozlight, who doesn't go back to spawn quietly. He will take the Doomfist with him. However, you've burned so much time off of this clock. You threw in Coalescence to the last fight. You're not going to have it for this one. Sirius is going to have this Flex. Cabimas is too far away from Sign Barrier for that one to be available. But you have to be really careful about where you put this Flux in.
This has to be the opportunity for Torbulance. They're rotating through the side room now. They've got a safe approach. They're keeping PGE off of their flank right now, but Mo's are going to be the one to find the kill with that orb of damage and taking down Easel. That sustain, that shield break is going to be difficult to find for Torbulance as they're just getting cleaned up once again.
But they didn't throw in ultimates. And that was something I was absolutely terrified. They started losing people, and I was praying to myself that Sirius would not press Q, would keep this Flux. And they're going to have Flux, they're going to have Death Blossom, they're going to have Coalescence. However, there's a negative to this. They've waited too long. Cabimas has got the Sign Barrier, and Moza just hit Coalescence. There's so much sustain on the defending side.
Yeah, they have tools, but the defenders have answers coming into this fight. PG already taking out Ward. No sound barrier going to be on the table for Torbulance, and they are locking right into that Death Blossom, and they are going to get shut out once again. Nothing going here on point B. Class 6 buckled down, and they pull off the hold.
They do. That was painful if you were Torbulance. Because they waited and they waited and they built up ultimate in the bank, but they just waited too long because that's a risky game to play. As you build up your ultimate, so too do your opponent.
And you know, they had a brief window of opportunity where they actually had their ultimates online and the defenders didn't. But PGE kind of shuts that down completely. He gets the pick that really sets that one off and forces Torbulance to retreat. By the time they push in for that final attempt, they just don't have an opportunity. They're walking into too much firepower from Class 6, and they just get melted on their.
Well, in Overwatch, the silent but deadly killer will always be that time. You need to finish, you need to get the push, you need to get the point or the payload, and you need to get it with as much time as you possibly can. A Doomfist comes in, and he gets one pick off, and then he's on his happy merry way because he's delayed your push for another 30 seconds while you're waiting for a respawn.
It's absolutely brutal, especially when you've got a Doomfist of PGE's caliber just running wild. You never know what angle he's going to take, especially on a map like Anubis. There's so many little spots of high ground. We saw him waiting outside the B choke, towards the A or the attacker spawns, even up on high ground, waiting for them to enter. He's just knows the angles and the avenues of approach so well, and it's impossible to check all of them.
Well, it's going to be pretty impossible for Snozler to try and shut this Doomfist down. You can say, oh, well, there's a trap. But I don't think PGE is going to fall for that. He seems too smart of a Doomfist. I would much rather be seeing a McCree on this defense.
You say that, and then he punches right into the Junkrat trap, and Snozlar takes him down.
I mean, that's the opposite of a Casticus, right?
Doesn't go well for PGE either way. The rest of his team continuing to try to make their way through the choke. So far they've done it. The Lucio still waiting outside on a bit of a flank mission at this point. Unclear what the idea is here.
Yeah, they're going to try and take a high ground while PGE tries to thinks about going into the front line, then decides better against it. He's just playing around trying to be a nuisance. He's bait at this point.
And now they've got that control of the high ground. Kabima still a little out of position, eventually going down to Sirius. Can't stay away from the team for that long. Now PG trying to find an opportunity to even things up and will take out War. Will get punished by Easel for his insolence. Dazer there with the answer though, and the coalescence from Moser is giving them the sustain to hold through this fight. Both coalescences committed, and Snozlar finding an answer here, trying to turn this one around for Torbulance, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen.
That was a poor investment on the side of Tony. You pop Coalescence if you know that you're going to win this fight, because now you're already seeing it. Class 6 are they're moving towards point B. They're getting ready. They've captured point A, and now they're just gonna go straight for the throat.
Absolutely, they smell blood in the water and they are circling. They don't really have the ultimates up just yet, but that's not going to stop PGE from going in, trying to take the fight with Easel for the time being. Neither Doomfist finding a whole lot at the moment, but still just trading damage back and forth, and it's going to be PGE once again to open things up. Blur going down. The tire from Snozlar only gets one. Is that enough for Torbulance to stabilize?
That's trying to stabilize, however, the pick onto the Sigma means that it's going very slowly but surely in Class 6's favor.
Yeah, they've got to deal with the supercharger out. Dazer will get in the back and deal with that. The meteor strike as well from PGE, taking down Noro, and it might be all over, but the crying here for Torbulance. They're trying desperately to get back in here to find the kills, but that Death Blossom will be the end of their efforts. It's just Noro here on the Wrecking Ball. He won't last long. Torbulance can't hang on, and Class 6 grab a 2-0 lead.
It's looking grim if you're Torbulance. I hate to say it, but I think we might have a 3-0 Shy Guy.
Yeah, it was nice while it lasted, but it seems right now like Class 6 just have Torbulance's number. They are looking confident, they are looking polished, and they are not looking like they're going to slow down anytime soon.
I want to see PGE counted, and I want to see him counted right now. Like, they surely know that the Doomfist is the main problem. The Doomfist is coming in, finding all of the value, managing to get the picks, not being punished for his insolence. Or he is, but he's being punished too late. He already gets the pick that he needed off, and then the rest of his team just move in to finish off the job.
Yes, I mean, they're having an incredibly hard time dealing with him. And the problem for Torbulance right now is that I don't know that there are really great kind of hard Doomfist counters that you can go to and say, this guy is, stopping us at every turn. What can we do to shut him down? That is easier said than done.
Well, at this point, I would say break out the double counters, break out the Sombra, break out the McCree. And that way, just have two people on him, because PGE, I have a feeling he'd be able to outplay the flashbang, But I think if you're trying to pit him against a flashbang and a hack, he's gonna be caught by one.
Yeah, the problem I see there that could come up for Torbulance if they go in that direction is there is real potential for you just to get bowled over by Moser with the Reaper in that frontline battle. At that point, you don't have the damage to really keep up with it if you are focusing so much on PG. It's a hard thing to do there, but we'll see if Torbulance have the answers as we move into map 3 here. They're running out of chances. They've got to do it here and now. If they want to avoid dropping into the bracket, it's going to take quite a turnaround for them.
They're going to have to pick a map where Doomfist isn't prevalent. And that is almost impossible because Doomfist, he really does... It doesn't matter if the map is open or closed. He somehow just finds ways to use the scenery around him. He can use the roofs to prolong his cooldown, and then he just manages to float over and just tip ever so slightly and then just slams down, and you have all of that build up so it does so much damage. You have the enclosed corridors indeed that are just playgrounds for the Doomfists where he just goes in, only really has to charge the punch up just a little bit to slam someone into the wall, and then it's an instant pick. Doomfist at the moment, there isn't really a map that you can't play him on.
Right, you really there are no bad Doomfist maps right now. Maybe something like the first point of Junkertown is hard for a Doomfist, but there's no map where he's going to be a non-factor whatsoever. There are only like good and great Doomfist maps right now, no bad ones. So going to be a tall order for Torbulance here to find a place to go. I think they said it's going to be Nepal for map 3 here where they try to make their stand. And interestingly enough, we've got some subs coming in from Class 6. It is going to be PGE out of the lineup for the time being. We got Nos coming in, swagged by Mom as well, going to be in the lineup. So changing things up. I wonder what the idea is here, if just someone else is going to play the Doomfist, or if they have other ideas for Nepal.
Well, Turbulence is breathing a big sigh of relief. I don't know how long that sigh of relief is going to last, because it could be indeed that some of the swaps that have been coming in are just going to be same hero, different player. But you know that PGE has been one of these main factors in why you're being shut down. You now know that he's sitting on a bench somewhere.
Yes, that is certainly something that you are happy with. You love seeing the subs out of Class 6. And speaking of subs, I want to remind everyone at home, it's September right now, which means that you can get half off of a new Tier 1 sub. And we would love to have that here at Star Esports. We would love any support that you can give us, even if it's just a follow there on Twitch. Give us a click, and we really appreciate it. It helps bring you wonderful matches like this one, like the one we had earlier tonight, and lets us keep the lights on here.
Well, it will be Turbulence looking to try and keep the lights on just a little bit longer. They're definitely not going to get free-oed.
Yeah, they want to avoid that if at all possible, and Nepal is where they've chosen to take us. This is an interesting pick here. I think it'll give them an opportunity at times to run that Pharah that they've enjoyed so much. Isel going on that quite a bit here so far. But the problem when they do that to me is that deprives them of their Doomfist player.
Yes. And unfortunately, Pharah is good on Nepal. There are some maps that she's great on Nepal, but there are some maps where she's relegated to only good. Because sometimes you indeed do not have these high towers that Pharah so often like to just hide around obscure line of sight. They get lucky. They get a map where Pharah can be played pretty well. She can be very strong, especially if you can manage to get those jumps in and out of sight. But what you have to do is control that point, because as soon as that point control flips over to your enemy, then they control all of the sight lines, and Pharah becomes a sitting duck.
Yeah, so much harder to be the aggressor, be the attacker as a Pharah than as a defender, where you can kind of just pepper the choke points with rockets, lay in that spam damage, and fantastic damage potential coming out when you have control of the point like that.
It's gonna be Nuz. Apparently, it's the same hero, different play. It's gonna be very interesting to see how exactly he picks this one up, especially after PGE has been giving us such a spectacular show of what this hero can do.
Those are certainly some big shoes to fill for Nas indeed, but You know, the Doomfist has been working for them all night long, and you know, even if it's a different name coming up in the kill feed, I have a feeling Nos is still going to be able to be pretty effective. Although, you know, for the first time really, we're getting kind of the mirror match here on Nepal as both teams breaking out the Doomfist Reaper. Nos going in for the punch, no kills just yet, and is actually going to get punished.
Yeah, we're finally seeing this Doomfist get just absolutely leapt upon as soon as he goes inside, and that's what you want.
Okay, well, that is a good start here for Torbulance. It's exactly what they needed if they want to fight this one back, turn things around. They get the first cap, the all-important first cap, and they show that they are capable of dealing with that Doomfist.
Well, Nos is actually going to stick with the Doomfist. Daza as well, sticking with this Reaper. The thing is, you have to get inside this composition for it to be allowed to do any much damage. And so they have this daunting prospect, this gauntlet that they effectively have to run, trying to get to this point.
Ooh, that time though, Nos gonna be able to find Paydirt, set up by a nice halt coming out from Season. Looking for more here, not quite gonna be able to find it in the main tank. Class6 will go down. Snozzler in the front line, laying in that damage. Will find Dazer as well. And now things looking quite nice for Torbulance as they continue to hold for the time being.
Signs of life indeed. Snozzler has got Death Blossom. He has decided not to pull the trigger on it quite yet. Quite rightly too, because it's Class6 just kind of a little bit of a disarray at the moment. They will have this coalescence to try and approach this point, which means that they probably won't lose people early. However, if you use it early, you don't have it to keep everybody up for this death.
And one thing to remember here for any Moira player right now, and for Swag by Mom in particular, you are pretty vulnerable in that coalescence. The Doomfist can dive on you, but he's using it from range right now, so well played to stay safe with that ultimate. Still, they can't push in just yet. They try to go into that Death Blossom, but Snozzler there to just shut them down with the Reaper ultimate, and they are throwing themselves off the edge.
Yeah, KBMS did not have that sign barrier up, so they only had the one support ultimate to try and see them through, and they had to decide it was a coin flip. Do you use it to try and approach the point, or do you indeed use it to try and get through an ultimate that the enemy throws at you? They flipped the coin, they read it wrong.
They did indeed, and now they are down to their last attempt here on Shrine as the coalescence out early from Tony is giving Torbulance an opportunity to push forward. The supercharger out from Season is giving them a good chance to push forward. Days are getting taken out of that Death Blossom, gives Torbulance a shot here, but they've lost too many members. Swag by Moms closing things out with that damage orb, and they will be able to get the play.
Yeah, Class6 showing again the team that we'd previously been watching still there. It's just going to be a little bit longer for them. You see that sometimes subs come in, things can go a little bit wonky, sometimes communication gets messed up. Nas is going to have this meteor strike that maybe just used to get in or out, or they may try to pin down Tony.
Yeah, I mean, might try to get some good value out of that. It is just going to be the escape tool, but the halt pulls them all back together. He will get Lure before falling himself, but that's enough of an opening for Class6 to surge forward, get the kills there from Infernal, and hold on for now.
Well, it's not very often that you see a Lucio level go down to a meteor strike, but a lovely halt from the Orisa just pulls everybody in, and Swag by Mum has this coalescence. It's the only ultimate currently in play, so huge advantage to Class6 at the moment.
Yes, but they don't have their main tank. Seasons went down late in that fight. Nas, though, evening things up with the kill onto Esol. The Death Blossom not finding anything just yet for Snuzzler as he goes in, gets stunned out of it pretty quickly. Seasons back in on the Reinhardt, though, and this is where things start to get a little bit dire for Torbulance. They are running out of opportunity.
Yeah, this is when things get dicey. You had all of that time to try and get this point flip. We're now seeing a couple of swaps come in. They're going to result back to this pharmacy. It's a good pick, I would say, because now he isn't really going to be much bothered to with Farah. Seasons is on the Reinhardt, so you're only relying on the Fire Strike to hit.
They don't have the best answer to Isol on this Pharah, but can he find the angles to lay in the damage? It's going to be the supercharger out from Noro, but it's taken down quickly. Good prioritization, but Isol still finds the kill there onto the Moira. So much of that sustain gone for Class 6. They lose their main tank as well. The sound barrier a bit too late, but Nas trying his best to do an impression of PGE. It's not going to happen, though. He comes in with the Meteor Strike, does find the Mercy, but going down in the end, and it's just desperate stall coming out from Class 6.
It really is. The UGC season's building up to the Shadow, though. If he can get it online, that would be absolutely huge for his team.
He does get it off, but finds absolutely nothing, gets booped up in the air, and eventually goes down. Now they are just trying to keep this going with all these stall heroes, the Lucio, the Doomfist, the Wrecking Ball, all that's left here for Class 6 as they try to turn it around. They need to find kills, and they're just not coming through.
Well, Data does manage to get the Reaper, but I think that's going to be too little, too late.
And Torbulance refusing to say die here on Nepal. They let it go down to the wire, but they do get the first point. They give themselves 2 shots here to stave off the loss.
They do indeed. However, this is a map where we see Bunker come out, and you already do see Seasons swapping to this Orisa. You're going to have Infernal stick with the Sigma, so it's going to be double shield coming from both of these teams. He's all sticking with the Pharah, so you're probably going to see Lure just trying to get that initial Lucio speed boost onto his team, let them get to the point a little bit faster, and then swapping to the Mercy to back the DPS up.
Okay, a very interesting swap coming in there from Snozlar. No Reaper this time around. Going to be going for the Hanzo, so they want a little bit more of kind of a long-range poke composition here. They're going to sit afar, as I think Class 6 just going to try to take position on the point. Though the fight on the high ground is going to be the priority.
Yeah, well, keep your eye on Nuz, because he's in the back line.
And he's dead. He goes down to Nora, so a great start there for Torbulance. They're moving on to the point as well, and now the Pharah, just laying in the damage. There's no angle to easily hide from that, and Isil's gonna be able to run wild. Snozlar as well, finding kills, and once again, Torbulance gonna come out on top of this first fight.
This is where Bunker becomes really annoying to just try and get off the point. Because you're set up, the shields are there, and you're the one who has to work on breaking them. And as soon as one shield goes down, another is done in its place. This is why Doomfist is so strong at the moment, because he doesn't have to worry about shields being replaced. Dazer's going to be onto this McCree, probably just trying to get Isol out of the way, which means it's going to be pretty hard for this Pharah to get a barrage off. But we've seen it being done before.
You can, carefully and, can cautiously use this cover that you've got around the edges of the map to stay hidden, to lay in that poke damage. A nice sleep on the Nas slows things up for Class 6 as they continue to try to push in. They're just rotating around the point right now, but Nas goes in deep, managed to take down Isol. That should not be happening. He gets the punch in onto the Pharah, but the res is there to bring Isol back into the fight, and Nash will be punished. Isol going down, and that one will be permanent. Noro, though, what a halt. Gets swagged by Mom off of the edge there. That could be the edge that Torbulance need to win this fight.
It was certainly a pendulum swing there. Just little last dregs of that fight, but indeed that halt onto the Moira. You talked earlier, Shy Guy, about Moira being so vulnerable when you go for the Coalescence. You can't fade out of anything that comes your way, including an Orisa halt, which drags you to your death. Now Nora does have these supercharges. Isol, he's been sitting on this barrage. It's getting towards last fight territory. If Class 6 want to make this a clean 3-0, they have to find something and find it now.
And they're pushing through on the low ground. This is a rough choke point to try to come through when you got dragons in your face. You got rockets coming down. It's not going to happen here for Class 6. I think Torbulance are sending us to map 4.
That they are. Behind door number 1 is Spirit Dragons. Behind door number 2 is a whole bunch of rockets they face. I don't think anyone is going to be able to touch. See, Infernal tried to go for this hero play on the hamster, but not going to make it. And that will be Turbulence finally taking a map.
Yeah, the spark of life there for Torbulance is they are not ready to go down just yet. It's going to be interesting. I expect to see some swaps coming back in for the side of Class 6. If PGE isn't back on the server, I'm gonna be a little bit questioning of that that decision.
I thought we were gonna have a friendly wager on our, but well, no. Yes, I'm pretty sure indeed that PGE will be subbing in pretty quickly. Nuz was managing to find some picks, but just not to the value that PGE was providing his team. Although what's going to be interesting to see is that Torbulance managed to double down on Nuz's Doomfist. Are they going to be able to double down on PGE now that they seem to have broken down what they needed to do to deal with this?
Yeah, they certainly seem to have a much better idea how to respond to that Doomfist this time around, and they really control the fights there on Nepal. Put in a great performance, like we know this team is capable of. They've shown us flashes of it throughout the series. Finally put it together for a whole map there on Nepal, and now we're headed to map 4. They are not out of this just yet. The opportunity for the reverse sweep is still there.
That it most definitely is, and they'll be looking for it. You have to tell. Now that they know that they've taken one map, they know that they can do it again and then again. So it's still on the cards for them, and these teams, they're going to fight tough and claw because no one wants to go down to the losers bracket first week.
No, most definitely not. And now we're headed into map 4 in just a little bit. We'll get the picks in just a second. Torbulance, of course, having the opportunity to ban their a map out for the first time in this series. Class 6 will get the swap here as well, and here we go. I think some of the swaps are going to be coming through for Class 6 at least. Swagged by Mom seems to be headed out of the lineup, as I think we're going to have most likely Moser coming back in to play this.
Yeah, but most notably, PGE is missing from the lineup, so it's still going to be Nuz on this DPS. So questionable. we said a little that Class 6's decision if PGE was sticking on that bench. That's gonna be surely Torbulance being pretty happy to hear that.
Yeah, I would imagine so, and I'm kind of wondering at this point if there is some extenuating circumstances that might be keeping PGE out of the server for the time being, not even in the lobby at the moment, so might have had to leave in the middle of the series, thinking Class 6 probably had it in the bag, but without him here, they are looking a little bit shaky there. We'll see if they have the response as we head into map 4. It looks like Eichenwald going to be the ban coming out from Torbulance.
Well, that's an interesting one. And I'm gonna be honest and put my hands up and say that I'm very surprised that they, of all the teams, chose to ban Eichenwald. Isel has been really strong on this Farah pick, and Eichenwald is a map where you can run that Farah. There's that tower that you have on the point A where you can just hide behind it, lob damage in, you can put the rockets in as the attackers move away from the spawn doors. You can almost build a barrage right there when they're just trying to approach that point for the first time. Banning Eichenwald means that they're saying, okay, we don't think we could have this map. And that is a map where Farah is very, very strong. They're worried, I think.
Yeah, definitely an interesting pick there. And it's going to be a different hybrid map as we go into map 4. Kings Row on the cards here as Class 6. That's where they want to take it to try to close out this.
We've seen Kings Row today. We've seen a lot of heroes run on Kings Row today. We've seen Doomfist on Kings Row today. So I think if Torbulance were running into PGE's Doomfist, then it would be series decided. Nuz, he seems like they've gotten him down just a little bit more. PGE, they've managed to read him just a little bit more like a book.
No, absolutely, and I want to take the time that we've got between maps to shout out my boy Soldier in the chat, coming through with 5 tier 1 subs gifted just a little bit ago. That is my dude. I know he is here rooting on Torbulance, and I think their win right there got him fired up, got him in a generous giving mood, and he comes through. We really appreciate the support, my man. It is, of course, September, which means anyone at home, you can get half off new tier 1 subs. So if you're feeling generous, like my man Soldier, if you just wanna find a sub for yourself, we would really appreciate that. We thank you for the all the support we can get. You can give us a little bit more support and support to one of these players in the server by scrolling down, finding the MVP vote that we have right below the stream. Give us your thoughts on who is showing up. That may be getting a little bit more interesting as we get more maps without PGE in them, and more maps for Torbulance to try to make this comeback.
Well, I feel like the big candidate for me, in my mind, is PGE. He's been showing up, well, not necessarily showing up literally right now. He's definitely in the back of your head. You've seen exactly how much of an impact he... just based on the fact that his team are losing now that he's out.
Yeah, I mean, through 2 maps, he would have been kind of the most obvious pick. He was just on a rampage, going wild on that Doomfist. We'll see if Nas can have a little bit better luck as we go into King's Row. This is a much more Doomfist-friendly map in general, I think. The close quarters, the angles that you can take, pretty solid for that hero. So see if he has a bit better luck on the second try. It continues to be a tough role to fill because you can tell that PGE was the Doomfist specialist. His coach, came in, he told us this guy is going to pop off, and he did. Now he's not there. Will they have the answer?
Well, we'll see, because Essel is going to be on this Pharah, and Snozzler is going to actually beat... Oh, I said it, and then he stopped just before I got to announce it, so hooray! Does that count as a debate? No. Snozzler is going to be on the Doomfist, not on the Torbulance.
Yeah, we don't get Turbulence's namesake in the lineup this time around. I'm a little bit disappointed in them, but, you got to do what you got to do to get these wins, and Snozzler going to be picking up the Doomfist. I believe this is the first time we've seen this look out of Torbulance so far with the Doomfist and the Pharah in the lineup. Usually Snozzler been on the Reaper. So an interesting change up as we move into what could potentially be their last map.
I mean, you have to feel for Dazer, because he's just going to get so many Pharah rockets in his face, and he isn't going to be able to do a jot about them.
That's certainly true, and right now, a little bit tentative are Class 6 as they try to push in here. Not quite sure exactly how to approach it. Just taking this spam damage, taking their time as they rotate around the statue right now. Looking to come in here and find an opportunity for Nas to go in deep. He can't do it just yet, but backing off for the time being.
Yeah, Nas going in and getting a pick is apparently the green light. And if he doesn't manage to do it, they all just back out and play really passively. They waste time. They let the other team build an ultimate.
Yes, but in fact, it's going to be Moser unleashing that Coalescence early, so the attackers use that to gain an advantage. The answer out from Tony as well. So both teams trying to battle for position on the point. So far, that going in Class 6 direction, they've almost got 2 ticks. There it comes through, and they are slowly but surely winning out this fight.
No one on Turbulence was fighting on the point, so there's absolutely no contest while all of that is going on.
Eventually, they kind of just get worn down. Not enough value coming in from that far, and no picks, no opportunity to break out the barrage for Easel. So they give up on that experiment. The Doomfist Pharah is out. We're back to Snozzler on the Reaper as they try to stabilize on the defense. They are far from contesting the cart, and they've got a long way to move.
And they're gonna be walking into Infernal's Graviton, and if Nos decides to put a Meteor Strike on top of that, Lure isn't going to have a sign barrier. And actually, you see the Doomfist, they spot him out. He's not gonna get away. Or he is, because he gets the Q.
That is true, and he's still going down on the other side, caught up in that Graviton Surge. And once again, it is just going to be Class 6 continuing to surge forward. They've got Turbulence on the back foot. Nas hunting for more kills here, wants to take down Sirius. We'll get Tony instead as a bit of a consolation prize.
And all through this payload is just rolling on uncontested, because there's been no one there. There isn't a Lucio trying to steal it out, there isn't a Moira trying to steal it out. They do have ultimates in the bank, but so too do Turbulence.
It's going to be the Coalescences coming out. The nice placements on both those superchargers keeps them safe, but not this time getting the better of Easel, finding that opening pickoff and doing more work in the backline. Takes down Snozzler as well. That's more than enough for Class 6 to push through here. And I think Nods, he heard us comparing him to PGE. He's had enough of it. He wants to show us that he is more than capable of playing to that level.
Yeah, this is more the classic Class 6 that we saw coming from these first two maps. Nuz is just trying to find a pick. Currently he's hiding out on this high ground, perhaps thinking that Snolster is going to try and teleport up, or he's going to find the Doomfist.
Just forcing back Nuz for the time being. Isol trying to take this fight up on the high ground, will get out of there. The grab now in from Infernal has them all locked up. The Meteor Strike in over the top to clean it all up, and Class 6 are just rolling right now.
They are absolutely on fire. Dazer has got this Death Blossom, so if anyone from Turbulence tries to contest this cut, they're just gonna be met by 2 shotguns.
Oh, and Isol going down early gets rid of a lot of their damage potential here. Their opportunity for kills. The Death Blossom on the cart is gonna burn them all down so quickly. The Coalescence as well from Moser. No one else really able to do much in the way of stall. It's just Snozlar, and he will fall. 355 in the time bank. That is disgusting stuff coming out from Class 6.
That is absolutely filthy. I don't think the payload stopped once.
That is insane. Almost, you start the map with 4 minutes. They lost 5 seconds over the course of that map. That is absolutely insane. And maybe it turns out maybe it wasn't PGE in the lineup that mattered. Maybe it was Moser coming back in here for map 4 as helped to stabilize a little bit for Class 6 as they look to be back on form.
They're most definitely back on form, and unfortunately for Turbulence, things are looking very bad for them at the moment. You're looking at that time bank, your spirits are already down. You thought you had a chance. The Doomfist, who was being the main problem in your backside, was on the sub bench. You go, okay, yeah, we're going into King's Row, we can do this. And then they blaze through the map with 3 minutes 55, and Noz, who hadn't really been that much of a difficulty to deal with on the Doomfist, is suddenly getting all of these picks and leaving your team in absolute disarray.
That was... you could have told me if you took away the names from the Doomfist player there, I would have told you it was PG, but Nas really showing up here on King's Row and having quite a map to try to close things out for Class 6. They are hungry to finish this one off. They don't want to take us to map 5. They want to finish things here and now.
Well, they can certainly see the end in sight. After we saw that blaze of an attack that they just put on, it is within no doubt in my mind that they can pull off a full hold on it.
Once again, it's going to be the Pharah for Turbulence when their backs are against the wall. Isol on this hero once again has been his preferred choice all night long, and with good reason. He's been spectacular on it at times, but there's some danger now. They don't have a lot of frontline presence, and Dazer going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, and you also, there's no high place that you can hide as far other than that statue, and the defenders normally control that area, so you're gonna get burnt down so low before you can even do much of anything.
Yes, but they are able to burn through the shields there, and Snozlar getting the headshot on Dazer is going to force Class 6 back. Nas trying to come in the back line and find an opportunity for them to push back in here if he can get a kill, but it's still really awkward here. They're holding on for the time being, but they've got to find an opportunity.
Oh, Torbulance apparently forgot about the Doomfist that was behind them. They finally remember and send him back to spawn.
Yes, but in the meantime, Moser unleashes that Coalescence, so Class 6 trying to fight this one out. They're trading back and forth. At the moment, neither team really having a firm advantage, but Tony in a spot of trouble here, getting chased down by Moser, will fall, and it's looking a little bit desperate here for Turbulence.
Yeah, and that was all because Noz was in the back line, and they all just completely forgot that he existed. And then he comes in, he goes for the Hanzo, and suddenly all of Turbulence are panicking, which allows all of Class 6 to just flood onto the point and contest.
I mean, and that is a very well-played retake there by Class 6. They back off after losing those first couple of picks. They know that they can recontest, and now the Flux coming in from Infernal, not finding anything. He goes down mid-ultimate there, can't really even get it off, and this is the opening that Turbulence needed. This should be the point A going their way.
Finally going that way. They do have Barrage to try and win them this next fight. Dazer, however, does have this Deadeye, and so you can probably picture the McCree just going to be behind all of his team staying safe, staying in a position where he can see the Pharah, so as soon as she pops Q, he'll do the same.
Going to be a bit of mind games between those two DPS coming into the next fight. Right now, Torbulance pushing up aggressively, trying to buy themselves some space, some free push on that cart. It's gotten through the choke, but now the next fight gonna come in there. They're having to back off a little bit as Nas gonna have to use the Meteor Strike. Going in the back actually finds Snozlar, and Isel not able to equalize with that barrage. It's all gonna go the direction of Class.
That's the painful one. You put your barrage in, it didn't really find much of anything, and so this is when you swap, and that's exactly what we're seeing. However, there's a silver lining, and that is you've still got ultimates for this next approach, and you have ultimates that actually work pretty well if you combine them together. So you put the Sigma ult in, you wait for them all to be thrown up, you wait for them to go down, and then you drag them.
Definitely an opportunity for a combo there between Snozlar and Sirius, but it's going to be the Valkyrie to start things off. The Supercharger as well coming out from Seasons. Powers up Dazer. The Deadeye doesn't have to charge along when you got the Supercharger in tow, and he's going to be able to find the kill they need to secure this fight.
And now, if you're the attackers, all you've got to work with is the Nano. Who's it going to go to? You would guess probably Isel, so he can try and build up to an ultimate. Nano Doomfist can be an absolutely terrifying thing. However, you're going to be a lot more wary because Dazer is now on this McCree, and so if you try and go too aggressively, you'll just be punished by it.
Yeah, Dazer gonna have a lot on his shoulders here. Needs to hit a big flashbang. Indeed, it is gonna be the Nano Doomfist going in the back, gets the uppercut, getting stunned up, not going down just yet. The peel is there from the rest of the team. He's still trying to go in deep and find it, but it's not happening. He'll eventually go down to Infernal. Once again, Torbulance getting pushed back.
It's the risk play. The Doomfist has less HP. He's a lot easier to be destroyed once you get him down, especially if you stun him. He also has to commit much more. Ideally, I would have said maybe give the Nano to Sirius. That way he can build closer to a Flux. You have more of an impact. You have more chance of getting a pick off than the Strike. But Isel is gonna have that ultimate online pretty soon. And the way Turbulence works towards it, I hope it's an impactful one.
Oh god, the Torbulance just getting spawn camped right now, getting chased around. Unable to really take this fight. It's Snozlar going down, getting hunted down towards the A spawns for the attacker.
This is painful. How do you try and come out of this? Especially when you know that Dazer has got this Deadeye, and Infernal has this Sigma ult, this Flux. And you want to talk about ultimates that work well with Fluxes. Well, you have the Diva Bomb, but you also have the Deadeye. Because Deadeye is just, they're all gonna be lifted right above that Orisa shield.
Yes, you're just, target shooting at that point, and you don't even have to aim. It is going to be the Deadeye kind of preemptively here, just keeping Torbulance from being able to move in at all. Isel, though, gets caught out. He Meteor Strikes down on the low ground, gets dealt with immediately, and Dazer doesn't need the ultimate to find kills, just does it the old-fashioned way.
You have to wonder if that was nerves. I think Isel was trying to Meteor Strike onto that high ground, but he misses it by an inch. And he just dies. That's what happens when you're Doomfist, when you make mistakes at this level. You're gonna have a supercharges, but if you look, Moser is so close to this Coalescence, and Season's just got a supercharges of his own. Kevin Messer, he's gonna have the sound barrier as well. You need to win this next team fight, and then you need to keep winning team fights when you're gonna be at an ultimate disadvantage.
There's that supercharger coming out from both teams. In fact, though, Noro is going to go down pretty quickly. Isel is able to get in the backline, dealing with Moser. Caught in that Coalescence, gets punched out of it, but Isel goes down in the end. And Torbulance on their last legs here. The Deadeye to finish things off. Dazer gets the double kill. This Death Blossom, though, from Snozlar is an answer. It's just Sirius and the Reaper here on point. And Snozlar able to come out on top of that fight, sticking to the payload for that little bit of healing, and they just might do it.
They might be able to, but they still have one more team fight, I would say. If Class 6 manage to organize themselves quick enough, they can still contest this point, and they're probably going to be looking for it now.
They don't, though. It was just the Moira and the Sigma there to try to keep it going, and they opt to give it up, and it's working out pretty well for them. They get the quick kill onto Isel, now already putting Turbulence on the back foot.
They have to hold for 1 minute 14. Sirius is going to have this flux. And if you look, there are no defensive ultimates, no sound barrier, no coalescence. So if Sirius manages to connect this onto a lot of the team, there is a high possibility that Torbulance will be able to find some sort of staying power on this payload.
They're gonna need to do it and need to do it quickly. They're quickly running out of time, and realistically, they're already in a bit of trouble here. The flux is coming out from both sides. Tyria is going to find Pater, but Nas in the back line taking down Snozzler, looking to create more opportunities for his team, going in deep, and so far things working out quite well for Class 6.
Yeah, they're winning the fight. They've got the ultimates. They're gonna have Noz with Meteor Strike. They're gonna have Daisy coming up to a Death Blossom. And if you're Torbulance, you put everything you had available into that last engagement. Now you're not gonna have it for this overtime push.
This is last chance saloon for them, and Snozzler already getting forced into the Wraith form, having to go out of there. Dazer as well, going to escape back to the team. The Supercharger out from Seasons, giving them so much damage in this fight. The Death Blossom coming in from on high. The Meteor Strike as well. They're finding kills in Class 6, sending Torbulance back to spawn, and they're ending this series here and now.
It won't be a 3-0, but it will be a pretty decisive victory. Class 6 will be taking King's Row and the series.
Nepal turns out to be a little bit of a blip on the radar for Class 6. They get back to their form here on King's Row. They dominate the final map, and they secure what ultimately winds up being a pretty decisive win tonight.
It's all about the Doomfists. We're seeing it come out this meta where all the teams who have really strong Doomfist players, and not just really strong Doomfist players, but Doomfist players who can get in, get the pick, get out, or who can out Doomfist their mirror, they have such a huge advantage.
Yeah, and we saw that earlier on in the series from PGE, just controlling the series completely and totally. Nas doing an admirable job there towards the end to fill that hole for the side of Class 6. And they come up clutch. They close that series out, and they put in an excellent performance and really show that they are prepared for this current.
Well, we're going to be waiting to see our interviewee. I'm hearing that it's going to be Cavimas, the support from Class 6. Really good Lucio players, had some really clutch sound barriers, especially when his team needed to fall back and just get that extra HP to just boost them all back up to full.
But before we get into the interview, I want to remind everyone at home one last time, MVP vote underneath the Twitch stream. You've got just a few more minutes to get your votes in, make your voice heard, show some love to someone who really stood out to you tonight. A lot of good options throughout this series. At the end of the day, it's very difficult to say. You've got so many options on the side of Class 6, Torbulance as well. Quite a few impressive performances on their side, so I do not envy the viewers having to make that choice.
I mean, I would split it 50-50 if I could between Nuz and PGE. The Doomfists really did show up to play today. We got some really nice picks off. Meteor Strike is an ultimate that doesn't really get the picks off, especially now that everyone knows what to do when they see that big ring of death coming for them. But somehow, and with quite a lot of team play, I should point out that the Meteor Strikes were still hitting the targets.
Okay, and if I'm gonna have to give it to one person on the side of Class 6, I'm gonna go with Moser, playing the Moira for them. The only person who is in the game for all 3 map wins and was not in for that map loss. So that's where my vote would have to go. But so many good options there from both of these teams. And now we are finally joined by our interviewee, Kevin Moss. How are you doing?
I think cool. Good? Yeah. I'm out quick, my bad. Yeah, I'm doing good. What's up?
We are just kind of reliving what an excellent series that was. You guys really came out kind of with a vengeance tonight. A little bit of a trip up there on the Nepal. What do you think was the reason for that?
We had a guy, our manager in. He hasn't played the game in a bit. Also, we kind of memeing comms, I think, a bit. Probably should have not done that. And I think we were doing very bad decisions overall, that map. Like when they had double zoning ults and we just went under on that second point, that was really bad. But yeah, I don't know. I was flanking a lot that map.
Yeah, I mean, you are able to turn things around at the end of the day, get a really dominant victory there on King's Row. Is it just a situation where kind of mentally you guys have to buckle down and
Oh yeah, we kind of
play to the level you can?
Yeah, we kind of got our shit together last map. We're like no trolling anymore. Like, I don't know. We play our game overall. So yeah, and I think we're kind of weak against fire comps overall. So probably why we're dropping some fights. But I think we gotta work on that.
Absolutely. I mean, you showed a lot of kind of I would say competence on the current meta compositions, those Doomfist Reaper combos. Has that kind of been the focus for you guys lately coming into this turn?
Yeah, we're trying to focus a lot on Doom comps because both of our flex DPS are good on that here. Like PG and Nos are both good at that. And I think our off think is really good at playing around those type of comps, and our calls are really good around those also. Like our engage timings and could be better, but it's pretty good so far, I think. My opinion.
I mean, I think the early results are quite good, and as you move on into the upper bracket of this tournament, I believe your next game is going to be going up against Nocturnal, who we saw earlier on tonight win. Do you have anything we should be on the lookout for in the next round?
I don't know. I really didn't scout that team yet, but I don't know. I'm gonna give it all. Our team also is gonna try really hard to win that one. Guess we should be good. Really, I don't know. Just practice against fire comps and we should win. Yeah.
For sure, I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys continue to develop over the course of this tournament. You put on quite a show here tonight. Before we let you go and get back to your team and celebrate a little bit, I do want to give you the opportunity to kind of plug anything that you want. Twitch streams, teammates, anything at all.
I don't know. Follow Class6 on Twitter. That's our team Twitter. And really thankful for our coaches that have been putting a lot of work. That's probably why we got so good lately.
Yeah, well, we talked to your coach, Tank Engine, before the series got started, and I think we came out of that feeling really good about what we were going to be seeing from you guys tonight. You absolutely not disappoint.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to give us a little bit of an interview. It was a pleasure to watch you here tonight, and congratulations on the victory.
Well, thank you very much. See ya.
All right, Moxie. That is gonna do it for us here tonight. That was a pretty entertaining couple of series, I gotta say.
I mean, that was definitely a textbook course on how to play a Doom. I'm gonna be watching some of PGE's playback and trying to recreate it, probably to varying levels of success in my own games.
No, I cannot even begin to imagine what it's like to be that good at a DPS hero. It's just not happening for me. So I can get there in my dreams maybe, but I am just really excited to get to see this kind of play. The Doomfist, so exciting to watch right now. Just a phenomenal hero, really enjoyable to see how players are picking it up, and I have a feeling we're going to continue to see a lot of that in this.
Well, definitely. Doomfist has been a hero that's really only recently gotten to take quite a lot of spotlight. He's not as flashy as Widowmaker. He doesn't need the skill shots, the flick shots that you get as, say, the McCree or the Hanzo, but he's definitely satisfying to play.
No, he definitely is, and super effective in the current meta right now. Really having a huge impact here tonight. I think if there was one hero that kind of made the difference throughout this series, it was definitely the Doomfist. No matter who was playing him, Class 6 really putting in a lot of work with that hero in particular, and it worked out super well for them. Gonna be interesting to see how they continue to progress through this tournament. You know, if they start running up against teams that might be a little bit more practiced, a little bit more ready to contest that Doomfist, then we'll perhaps see them struggle a bit more. But for now, everything going Class 6.
They definitely dominated over Turbulence. Turbulence seemed to kind of pull it back a little bit for Nepal, but then whatever that spark was that they had, they just let it slip through their fingers, and Class 6 once again back on form in King's Row.
Yes, they were indeed, and Torbulance not going to be able to come away with the victory here tonight. They'll drop to the lower bracket, but a little bit of a consolation prize for them. Noro is going to come away with the Viewers MVP award here tonight. Got your votes, the main tank for Torbulance, really putting in a pretty solid performance, I would say, all around. They put up a good fight here tonight, and I'll be excited to watch them try to make a run through the lower bracket as we move forward in the tournament. I do believe that's going to bring us to the end of the broadcast. Gut Moxie, it's been a pleasure casting with you tonight, and I cannot wait for what the rest has for us.
Yes, pleasure as always to cast with you, Shy Guy. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what exactly these teams are going to throw at us now.
It remains to be seen, but we'll have more wonderful Overwatch action from here at the Overwatch All-Star Brawl presented by Star Esports. We'll be back again next week with more games as we move into the second round of the tournament and beyond. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. For Refused, for Got Moxie, I've been your host, Shy Guy, and have a wonderful night.